discuss state and local politics, and as always, take your calls here on News Talk WSIC.
A good soul isn't hard to find, especially if you're listening to WSIC on Tuesdays at 4.
Hello, and welcome to The Good Soul.
The Good Soul, hosted by Patty Alvarez, features real-world conversations that leave you feeling happy and rejuvenated.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Scoreboard. Oh, it feels good to be sitting in the chair here today, hanging out in the studio. We are live today. Yes, I am coming to you live. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. If you have something on your mind that you'd like to talk about, I'm here for you. I can talk to you. I can hear you. I'm listening to your conversations right now. No, I'm just messing around. Hope everyone's doing well today. It's a little dreary out there, but yeah, we're still going to have fun on the Scoreboard. Like I said, 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. That's 844-788-3464 if you have something you'd like to talk about. Coming off of a Monday night, where we had some sports going on, Monday Night Football. The Cowboys and my Super Bowl champion Bengals. Yeesh. I don't want to get too far into that just yet, but just looking at the standings, looking at records, and the way things are looking in the playoff picture, yeah, I may have been a little bit wrong about the Bengals being the Super Bowl champions this year. 5-8. Last team in the AFC, by the way, is 8-5. So they're still a few games back with only 4 remaining, but they are not eliminated. That is the big news. A lot of teams in the AFC have been eliminated, though. We are going to go through all of them. There are so many 3-win teams in the AFC. I don't understand. Nonetheless, though, we have updated rankings. We have some teams that have clinched a playoff berth. We'll go through all of that for you today. Only one team in the NFC has been completely eliminated from the playoffs. We already knew who this was going to be. This is the New York Football Giants. They are terrible. They've already been eliminated. So we're going to talk a little bit of football today. Also, yesterday, we didn't have all that much time to go into baseball. We got to talk about baseball. Why? You might be wondering, why do we have to talk about baseball? It's the middle of December. Yeah, there was a contract signed on Sunday night that, holy moly, broke records, sent shockwaves throughout the sports world. Juan Soto, former New York Yankee this year, also a Washington National. He's actually won the World Series with the Nationals back in 2019. If you remember that run, that was a good run that they were on. So Soto to a new team with a new contract. Lots and lots of money involved in this one. 15 years, 15 years. So the contract doesn't end until 2040. 15 years, $765 million. More than $750 million. You want to compare that to some of the largest contracts in MLB history? Sure, we can do that. He's making $65 million more than Shohei Ohtani. Although the contracts are a little different. The yearly average of Ohtani is much higher than Juan Soto. Soto got 5 extra years than Ohtani did on his deal. Obviously, an age difference is going to have something to do with that. Shohei Ohtani, not 26 years old. No, he is not. Shohei Ohtani actually is 30 years old, so with 9 years left on that contract, they'll actually end their contracts at the same age. Yeah. Juan Soto, 26 years old, $765 million. Oh, my goodness. All right, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the program, talk about some of the things that are going to happen because of this. We also want to talk some high school basketball, maybe a little bit of college basketball as well, as we are pretty much in a holding period right now for college football. We know what the matchups are. We're just waiting for the bowl games, which they are scheduled. They are ready to go. We just have a few more weeks until, well, a couple of weeks actually, until we get to the bowl games. Although the first bowl game is going to be coming up on Saturday. It's going to be Jackson State and South Carolina State in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. So we have games coming up. They'll be going on throughout the week as well. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then on Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, you start your first round of the college football playoffs. We'll also have one of those games coming up on a Friday. Not this Friday, next Friday. So we still got time before the actual college football playoffs begin. So we'll put a little bit of a hold on the college football talk. We may get into college basketball a little bit. Update you on the rankings. Remember UConn? Remember when UConn was good? Oof. What happened to them, right? 7-3. According to the week 6 rankings, they are the 18th best team in the country. Yikes. Now, you know, it doesn't matter. It's so early in the season. We got to get to March, right? So, long time to go there. So, we may talk a little bit about that. We'll definitely talk some MLB today. NFL today. All these abbreviations, man, they get you. NFL today, we got to go over the standings. We got to talk about last night's football game and what it means looking forward, as we have some teams that have clinched, some eliminated. We already talked a little bit about that early in the show. But to start things off today, what we're going to do is we're going to get into the high school basketball scene. Yes, high school basketball has been going on for a while now. We're a few weeks into the season. So let's update you on some of these records, starting with Statesville High School. Statesville High School has played 4 games to start their year. Now remember, this is a slow start. It's a very slow burn to start the year for a lot of these schools. But then we're going to get back from the new year, and it's going to pick up. The high school basketball season, regular season at least, runs through the middle to end of February. So once we get back from New Year's and school's back in session, these games are really going to pick up, and we're going to see a lot more college high school basketball action. But Statesville High School, they played 4 games to start their year. They are 1-3 currently. Not the best record, but still very early in the season. Statesville actually has a game tonight. They're going to be playing Huff High School. And Huff High School has had a very good start to their basketball season, as Huff is 3-1 right now. That game between Statesville and Huff High School later on tonight, 7:30 is the expected tip-off. We're going to save the rest of high school basketball for the next segment. We got to go to our first break of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the fog is the issue for the first part of the day. Watch out for that. Keep it a little slower on the roads through midday. A scattered shower not out of the question. Most of our midday will be gloomy. Temperatures warm into the mid-60s. But we're tracking a lot of rain on the way tonight and some winds. Tonight, overnight, and even into the first part of our Wednesday. Plan on heavy rain and gusty winds. We'll dry it out, but temperatures drop like a rock by Wednesday evening. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like iCats Public Transit.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Embrace the magic of the season at a classic Christmas in Mooresville on Friday from 5 to 9 p.m. in the heart of downtown. Traditional holiday activities such as ice skating, horse-drawn wagon rides, Santa visits, food vendors, warm beverages, and carolers are all part of the festivities. A classic Christmas in Mooresville promises a nostalgic and heartwarming experience for the whole family this Friday in downtown. Join the Gingerbread House Workshop this Saturday in downtown Statesville. Fun Christmas activities for kids take place at 10:30 a.m., 11:15, and noon at the Watering Hole on West Broad Street. All supplies are provided and fun for all ages. Registration is required. Visit Gingerbread Workshop for Kids on Facebook for details. The Town of Troutman Jingle Run 5K takes place on Sunday. The race will run through the Town of Troutman starting at the Town Hall. Register at runsignup.com and we will see you Sunday in Troutman for the Jingle Run 5K. Trivia is back at Micaiah's in Mooresville on Tuesday, December 17th. Join me, Patrick Reynolds, host of the Home Ad Show, and Joe Berg, host of the Scoreboard, as we test your trivia knowledge with a fun game and prizes for the winners. Call your friends, form your team, or play solo. We'll see you at Micaiah's in Mooresville on Tuesday, December 17th for trivia with the WSIC on-air crew. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through Sunday, January 5th. The light show features more than 5 million lights synchronized to music on a 4-mile course through the oval, pit road, and infield. Plus drive-in movies on the gigantic Speedway TV, as well as a festive Christmas village. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Hi, this is Joshua Dobie. Join me Thursdays at 4 p.m. for Dollars and Cents, a show that focuses on your personal financial journey and the markets around us. That's Dollars and Cents, Thursday afternoons at 4, here on WSIC.
24/7 worldwide, non-stop.
WSIC.
Local starts here. Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second segment here on the Scoreboard today. We are going over high school basketball real quick before we venture off into some other topics. Statesville and Huff with a matchup tonight, 7:30. It's going to be at Huff High School, by the way. We have a few more basketball programs that I want to talk about in the area. We'll start in the northern end of Iredell. Well, let's go to North Iredell, right? Why not? North Iredell, they are having an okay start to the year. Now, they do have a game today against East Surrey, and East Surrey is a classic. It's early in the season, so the games are very spread out. They've only played 2 games up to this point, has East Surrey. They're 1-1 on the year, which, I mean, sure, yeah, cool, respectable and all. But they've only played 2 games to start the year here. North Iredell is up to 5. They are 2-3 right now on the season. Tip-off for this game between North Iredell and East Surrey, 7:45. We'll be on the quarter hour on this one. West Iredell has had a very good start to their year. They are 5-1 after 6 games played. They also have a matchup tonight. A lot of basketball going on tonight around the high school area. West Iredell and Wilkes Central, 7:30 is going to be the tip-off for that one, and it looks like this game is going to be a home game for the West Iredell Warriors, who start the year 5-1. Very good start for them. If you remember back to last year, they did not have a good year at all, did the basketball team. A final record of 2-22, and they were 0-15 in conference, with their only 2 wins coming early in the season against Elkin, and the second win was against Langtree Charter Academy, which both of those were in 2023. Then they lost all the games for the rest of the year in 2024. But this year, to start 2024, they've only lost 1 game so far. And it was a close game. They already played Wilkes Central. The final score in this one was 88-82. A very competitive game. So we'll see how West Iredell is able to do with a game tonight against Wilkes Central. Then they have this big gap in the schedule where they won't play again until December 20th against St. Stephen's. And then after that, not another game until January 3rd. Like I said, these games are spread out at the beginning of the year. It's weird because you start everything out and then schools start going on break for, the winter break. You got Christmas is coming up. You got the New Year coming up. And then you get back and everybody's back in school and it's like, all right, let's play some basketball. So we're going over the men's basketball programs, by the way. It is West Iredell right now, 5-1. Next game tonight, home against Wilkes Central. 7:30 is the tip-off. South Iredell High School is also one of those schools that have had a rough start to the season. They are 1-4 right now. Now, they actually have quite a few games remaining in 2024. Not only do they play tonight against Bunker Hill, but then they'll play later on this week against West Cabarrus. And then they have 3 games coming up next week. So a lot of games in a short span of time on this side of the new year for South Iredell High School. They will be a school that have some of the most games played coming back from the new year. And then they don't play again after New Year's until the 7th. So they get a little bit of a break. And then, they start coming in. They'll play a lot of games in a short period of time, and then the season will be over before they even know it. So South Iredell looking to turn things around later on tonight on the road against Bunker Hill High School, who has started their year 0-6. A couple of more schools that I'd like to talk about here. We have Pine Lake, my alma mater high school. That's where I went, Pine Lake Prep. I never played basketball, though. Actually, I think I tried out for basketball one year. And I was like, no, it's just not for me. I'll wait till baseball season. Anyway, Pine Lake is 4-1 right now, early in the season. They don't play again until Friday, though. But then they have a back-to-back Friday and Saturday. They'll play some games. And then a couple of games in a tournament here before the end of the 2024 year. This is part of the Hoggard Holiday Classic. So Pine Lake will be competing in the Hoggard Holiday Classic. If you look at the schedule for that, the tournament is going to begin. It's going to be girls and boys. The tournament begins Friday, December 27th, and it runs through, I believe, New Year's Eve. I believe. We'll have to double check on that. I'm not seeing any definitive championship game is going to be held here on this day, so we'll double check on that. But I believe the games will be going through the 30th, so something to keep an eye on. Pine Lake will be a part of that. Just the men's side of things for Pine Lake, though. The women's team will not be participating in the Hoggard Holiday Classic, but we will keep you updated as much as we can through the holiday season. Last but not least, we got a couple of more schools we'll talk about. Lake Norman High School. That basketball team has started things off strong. They are 6-0 right now, have not lost, and they've won pretty handedly in most of these games here. Looks like the closest one that they've had was their most recent game against New Hanover, where they won 68-61, and that was a road game for them, so keep that in mind. Lake Norman plays tomorrow. They'll be taking on Mount Tabor High School. And here's the discrepancy here. Lake Norman's played 6 games. Mount Tabor's only played 3. They are 2-1, though, so that is the next game for Lake Norman. Last but not least, Mooresville High School also having a very good start to their year. They've played the most games in the area so far. They are 6-2, 8 games into the season. I know, a lot of games, but they do not play again until Friday. And they'll be a victim of a Friday-Saturday back-to-back before we get into a little bit of a break for them coming up. Then you got a holiday tournament as well for Mooresville. So we will keep you updated on the holiday tournament once it gets announced who their opponents are going to be. But then coming into the new year for Mooresville, they have to wait 10 days. 10 days before they are back in action after the new year. So, man, they're going to have a little bit of a resting period. Hopefully when they get back to play South Iredell, they are, not a little rusty. But a little rust is to be expected when you have a break like that. So that is the high school basketball scene. A reminder to you, we are still not done with high school football because we have the regional matchups coming up on Friday, the semifinals, if you will. The Final Four is going on. And then on next Friday, we'll have the state championship games. It's coming to an end, but it is taking a little bit longer this year than it did in years past. Let's move on from the high school basketball scene. I want to talk about this college football story that has been developing over the past couple of days. And my source on this is going to be Ollie Connolly, who is a writer for The Guardian. He reports earlier today, Bill Belichick has agreed to become the next UNC football head coach. Belichick handed the school a 400-page organizational Bible with structure, payment plans, staff choices, decisions on whether to commit with UNC. He is expected to know their decision within 24 hours. Now, I've seen that one of the stipulations on Bill Belichick becoming the next head coach is that his son would be the coach in waiting, and that possibly being part of the actual agreement in order for Belichick to become the next head coach of UNC. Absolutely insane. It really is. Like, you get rid of your head coach, 73-year-old Mac Brown, and they hire the younger head coach, 72-year-old Bill Belichick. What was the point of getting rid of Mac Brown? Honestly, like, what was the point? Maybe they just needed a culture change. Maybe Bill Belichick just needs something to do, right? And I mean, he handed the organization a 400-page, like, here's how we're going to run things. That's what you get with Bill Belichick. I think that's one of the reasons that he didn't become a head coach in the NFL this year is because it's his way or the highway. He has a way of doing things, and I can't take it away from him. He's won, how many Super Bowls has he won? Exactly. So does UNC decide to do this? Do they let Belichick come in and completely revamp the football team? I think they should. Why not, right? Be more entertaining for us. Love to hear anybody that has some thoughts on Bill Belichick possibly becoming the next head coach at UNC Chapel Hill. The Tar Heels, man, they're going to get Bill Belichick as their head coach. Who would have thought? I never would have thought at all. Halfway point. We got to go to our next break. Don't go anywhere. Back after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the fog is the issue for the first part of the day. Watch out for that. Keep it a little slower on the roads through midday. A scattered shower not out of the question. Most of our midday, there will be gloomy. Temperatures warm into the mid-60s. But we're tracking a lot of rain on the way tonight and some winds. Tonight, overnight, and even into the first part of our Wednesday. Plan on heavy rain and gusty winds. We'll dry it out, but temperatures drop like a rock by Wednesday evening. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville is known for their prices and selection, but I tell you what, you may not have known the distinction that this store received with Ford and Lincoln this year. We received the President's Award for 2023 for Ford for the 5th year in a row. We also received it for Lincoln for the first year, and I tell you, those awards don't come easily. It all boils down to taking care of the customers and having the vehicles you want in stock for you to buy.
Harrison's is the home of Work, Western, and Wow! We're the Southeast leader in Carhartt, and nobody has more in-stock work boots. The store is filled with Harriet, Cinch, Wrangler, and more. Get great clothing and footwear for the whole family at Harrison's. Find us on Norman Station Boulevard in Mooresville.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshlawFirm.com.
Harness the healing power of horses. With the amazing staff at Willow Equine in Mooresville, we create a supportive environment conducive to healing and growth, dedicated to self-discovery and overcoming adversity. There's a program for you at willowequine.com.
Are you annoyed, angry, or maybe there's another word you want to use about where your tax dollars are going? Let's face it, the government does a terrible job of managing money, especially when it's yours and mine. Tax dollars are being wasted, and all the government does is have their hand out for more. So what do? They send you, the tax-paying American or business owner, a letter saying you underpaid your taxes, and you owe us a lot more. Don't laugh and don't cry. Call the Tax Resources Network now. Their trained experts can help negotiate between you and the IRS and take all the stress off your back. And if you're lucky, save you a boatload of tax money. So before you think about calling the IRS, if you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes or you haven't filed in a while, call us right now.
800-594-0062. 800-594-0062. 800-594-0062. That's 800-594-0062.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. Many sports teams have been ruined by unresolved conflicts among coaches or players. Rather than handling conflict and drama in a direct manner, they choose to make the situation worse by backstabbing through the media. As followers of Jesus, our perspective on how to handle fractured relationships should be much different. We want to be careful not to get caught up in gossip, backstabbing, or slander. If someone has wronged us or they feel we have wronged them, we need to seek forgiveness and reconciliation. In Ephesians, it says, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with every kind of malice. Be kind and helpful to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God in Christ also forgave you." Today, let's choose to be reconcilers instead of backstabbers. And let's not allow our pride to divide. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Some jitters today on Wall Street ahead of tomorrow's consumer inflation report for November, which will help the Federal Reserve decide whether to lower rates or not when policymakers meet again next week. Now, at the close, the Dow was down 154 points. That's about 1/3%. The NASDAQ lost 49, the S&P down by 18. The big gainer shares of the struggling drugstore chain Walgreens, the nation's biggest. Those shares up nearly 18% on reports it's in talks to sell itself to a private equity firm. Shares of big home builders moved lower today. That's after Toll Brothers forecast continued pricing pressures, and with home builders having to give away more incentives to buyers because of high interest rates. Toll Brothers shares today down 7%. Shares of D.R. Horton, Lennar, KB Home, and Pulte all down between 2 and 3%. And with the re-election of Donald Trump and his business-friendly policies, small business owner optimism surging in November to a 3-year high. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Number one for talk in Lake Norman, Statesville.
105.9, 100.7, WSIC. The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back. Halfway through the program here on the scoreboard. 844 Studio 4. That's 844 788 3464. We were talking about Bill Belichick, man. Is he really going to be the head coach of UNC Chapel Hill? It's being reported that he wants it, and a decision is looming. I heard about 24 hours away. I did. That was the report. Now, let's go back to it, just so everybody here is on the same page. Let me pull it back up because I did actually get rid of it here for a second. But just so we all know where exactly we stand on this Bill Belichick thing. Bill Belichick has agreed to become the head coach, but he's waiting for a response from the team, and he's expected to know within 24 hours. Now, this tweet by Ali Connolly was sent at 11:30 this morning. So I would think by the end of tomorrow, we should hear whether or not Belichick's going to be the head coach. I don't think this is going to drag, especially now that the report is out. But this is interesting. I don't know how I would feel as a high school student deciding to go play for UNC Chapel Hill when the head coach that just got hired is 72 years old. Can you relate to high schoolers at that age? I don't know. I don't want to be mean about it or anything, but if you're 72 years old, are you familiar with pop culture? Do you know how to talk to the kids? Because you can't talk to the kids like you did 30, 40 years ago. They're crazy now. I don't know, but I hope it happens. This is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. I saw something really funny about this, by the way. If DraftKings or FanDuel wants to make a betting line over under how many rules get changed because Bill Belichick has exploited the rule book. We saw it happen earlier this year with the 12 men on the field and the clock ran, but you don't get that time back. So, it's really a wash. It's like whatever. They put 12 guys on the field. They got rid of that. Now it's a real penalty if you have 12 men on the field in order to I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought mid-sentence, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't happen often, but I did. I'm interested. This is going to be awesome to see if Bill Belichick is going to be the head coach of UNC Chapel Hill. We have other things going on in the world of sports. I want to get into the NFL and really wrap up the week that we just had and exactly where everything sits in terms of who is going to and who is not going to make the playoffs. Right now, we have 4 teams that have clinched the playoffs after the Monday Night Football game. In the AFC, it's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. It looks like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have the number 1 seed. I know, but we talked about this yesterday. Buffalo really shot themselves in the foot in terms of the seeding with deciding to call a timeout for some reason on the goal. I don't want to think about it. It boggles my mind. Absolutely insane. The Chiefs play the Browns, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Broncos for the remainder of the year. Now, they very well could lose 1 or 2 of those games, but they also very well could have lost 3, 4, 5 games. Think back to week 1, game 1, the Chiefs and the Ravens, and the toenail that was out of bounds on the final drive for the Ravens, which gave the Chiefs the win. Then you have the Bengals game. They won by a single point in that game. And they barely beat the Falcons. They barely beat the Chargers. They had to kick a last-second field goal to beat the Broncos. They got demolished by the Bills. They barely beat the Raiders. They barely beat the Panthers. I don't think the Chiefs are the favorite, but they are 12-1. They have been winning those games, so respect where respect is due. They would be the 1 seed in the AFC. The 2 seed right now, locked into the playoffs. Nothing can knock them out. The Buffalo Bills. In the NFC, It's the Detroit Lions at 12-1 who have locked themselves into the playoffs, and the Philadelphia Eagles at 11-2. That win that the Eagles had over the Panthers locked them in, plus a loss by the Cowboys to really solidify things. That locked in the Eagles. Now, the AFC is a little bit clearer on terms of who is and who is not going to make the playoffs. You have right now, besides the top two, the Chiefs and the Bills, the Steelers and the Texans also leading divisions, the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Broncos as the wild card teams right now. It is a 2-game gap to the next team out of the playoffs, the Indianapolis Colts, 6-7. The Dolphins are also 6-7, but neither of those teams are out. And the Bengals at 5-8 still aren't out. You know, it says they got a 3% chance to make the playoffs. I'm holding on to it, man. I'm telling you, if they make the playoffs, they're going to be the hottest team. They're going to go to the Super Bowl, and they're going to beat the Lions, and I'm going to be right from my preseason prediction. That's it, right? I mean, if you're the Bengals, how are you wasting this year from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? Did you guys watch the game last night? I mean, Joe Burrow should be the comeback player of the year, number one. He got injured last year. That's why we didn't hear from him. It's definitely not going to be Aaron Rodgers. He is not the comeback player of the year. But that's the AFC match, playoff picture. In the NFC, the Lions and the Eagles, obviously, they're locked in. The Seahawks and the Buccaneers are your other two division leaders. The Vikings, the Packers, and the Commanders are your three wild card teams right now. One thing that's funny to me is the Buccaneers at 7-6, worse record than the Vikings, the Packers, and the Commanders, the wild card teams. Now, one game out of the playoffs are the Rams. The Rams are also one game behind the division lead, so they could either be a wild card team or they can win the division. The Falcons, 2 games back of the division, 2 games back of the wild card, only 1 game back in the division. Then you have the Cardinals and the 49ers, both 6-7, a couple of games back in their division. The Saints, Cowboys, and Bears, and the Panthers all have not been eliminated yet, but they got less than 1% chance of making the playoffs. For the Panthers, they got to win out and hope everybody in the division loses. They can't make a wild card. They're not eliminated, though. I mean, say what you want about the Panthers, but we're mid-December now, and the Panthers are still in playoff contention. There we go. So that's your playoff update for you. We didn't really spend that much time on it yesterday, but I wanted to at least let everybody know exactly where these teams stand, who's been eliminated, because the AFC is a little bit different than the NFC right now. A lot more chaos can be had in the NFC, where the AFC is more like, yeah, we kind of know who's going to be in the playoffs. It's just a matter of how exactly are they going to be seeded. We'll continue to update you as we always do as we go through the remainder of the NFL regular season. We got one more segment today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk Major League Baseball. Juan Soto, what does it mean? What exactly happened? And where do we go from here? Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the fog is the issue for the first part of the day. Watch out for that. Keep it a little slower on the roads through midday. A scattered shower not out of the question. Most of our midday will be gloomy. Temperatures warm into the mid-60s. But we're tracking a lot of rain on the way tonight and some winds. Tonight, overnight, and even into the first part of our Wednesday. Plan on heavy rain and gusty winds. We'll dry it out, but temperatures drop like a rock by Wednesday evening. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Embrace the magic of the season at a classic Christmas in Mooresville on Friday from 5 to 9 p.m. in the heart of downtown. Traditional holiday activities such as ice skating, horse-drawn wagon rides, Santa visits, food vendors, warm beverages, and carolers are all part of the festivities. A classic Christmas in Mooresville promises a nostalgic and heartwarming experience for the whole family this Friday in downtown. Join the Gingerbread House Workshop this Saturday in downtown Statesville. Fun Christmas activities for kids take place at 10:30 a.m., 11:15, and noon at the Watering Hole on West Broad Street. All supplies are provided and fun for all ages. Registration is required. Visit Gingerbread Workshop for Kids on Facebook for details. The Town of Troutman Jingle Run 5K takes place on Sunday. The race will run through the Town of Troutman starting at the Town Hall. Register at runsignup.com and we will see you Sunday in Troutman for the Jingle Run 5K. Trivia is back at Micaiah's in Mooresville on Tuesday, December 17th. Join me, Patrick Reynolds, host of the Home Ad Show, and Joe Berg, host of the Scoreboard, as we test your trivia knowledge with a fun game and prizes for the winners. Call your friends, form your team, or play solo. We'll see you at Micaiah's in Mooresville on Tuesday, December 17th for trivia with the WSIC on-air crew. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through Sunday, January 5th. The light show features more than 5 million lights synchronized to music on a 4-mile course through the oval, pit road, and infield. Plus drive-in movies on the gigantic Speedway TV, as well as a festive Christmas village. Speedway Christmas tickets and information are available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Rev up your dreams with a bike from Tilly Harley-Davidson. Whether you're new to Harley or a seasoned pro, Tilly has the bike for you. Come experience the freedom of the ride. Feel the thrill of the road and the thunder that only a Harley can provide. Stop by Tilly Harley-Davidson of Statesville or go to tillyhd.com.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right. What in the world? What in the world? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, final segment on the Scoreboard. We're going to talk Juan Soto, okay? We're going to talk Juan Soto. I'm upset right now. Okay, let me get in frame here. Let me sit down, let me calm down, let me start talking. Juan Soto, outfielder, Major League Baseball player, signed a 15-year, $765 million contract with the New York Mets on Sunday night. Over $750 million. Now, I made the point yesterday on the show, I believe. We're probably less than a decade away from a total billion-dollar contract being signed in Major League Baseball. You think I'm crazy? I'm not. Maybe I am. Maybe just a little bit. But you look at the jumping contracts that we've seen. In 2019, Bryce Harper signed a 13-year, $330 million contract. Fernando Tatis, the year after that, 14 years, $340 million. Shohei Ohtani, most notably last year, 10 years, $70 million. And here we are, even more money, $765 million. The teams that were involved were the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox. There were 5 real competitors here. And apparently, it came down to the Yankees and the Mets. Here's the report from John Heyman via the New York Post. The straw that probably broke the camel's back and made Juan Soto sign with the Mets. The Yankees felt like they could not give a sweet to Juan Soto. when Aaron Judge pays for his suite and even Derek Jeter paid for his suite. Steve Cohen, he didn't give much thought to the suite, and he gave Soto a suite in the stadium for his family. That's what it came down to. I want to throw something right now. As a Yankee fan, how do you allow this to happen? You know what the last 15 years have been like for you, right? You have a reputation now of just not signing the big guys. You sign old superstars to massive contracts. That's how they get all the payroll. That's why it's so big. They're giving Giancarlo Stanton way too much money. Aaron Judge, over 30 years old, he's also getting way too much money. And then, they had the Garrett Cole signing, which was cool. But they have missed on so many free agents over the last few years. Shohei Ohtani, they couldn't get him. Bryce Harper, they didn't even try to get him. Fernando Tatis, they didn't even try. Manny Machado, they didn't even try. And now the reason that you didn't sign, the reason that you went to the World Series, because you're not doing it without Juan Soto, is because you didn't want to give him a suite for his family because everybody else that's a Yankee is paid for it? Newsflash to this organization. It's not the 80s anymore. It's not the 90s anymore. You can't sign a player because you're the Yankees. They have demands. They have wants. And if you want to be competitive, you're in a big market. You have the money. Sign him. Give him what he wants. What's the big deal? I am so frustrated because, man, the Yankees are a joke. They really are. They really are. Now, I saw this stat, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I did see the stat about how much money a team is making in revenue versus how much a team is spending on their players. And the Mets are spending an obnoxious amount of money. They are spending on their payroll 102% what they make in revenue. Yeah, they're spending more money than the team is taking in. Because obviously, these guys are billionaires that owns these teams, right? They're billionaires. The MLB franchise that they own is just like, it's in the back. So they're breaking even right now. He's got so many other businesses, does Steve Cohen, that it's like, who cares? We'll just break even. We'll spend all this money on the team and try to win a World Series. The Yankees, who brought in some of the most revenue in Major League Baseball, over $700 million in revenue. And they're spending on their payroll about 55% of that. That's a joke. I don't know. I'm a little frustrated with those New York Yankees at the time. My team. It's been 15 years. Oh, it's been 15 years. You haven't won. Yeah, they're not supposed to not win for 15 years. That just doesn't happen. You're the Yankees. Do something about it. Getting frustrated. All right, let's talk a little college basketball before we end the program here today. Just going to go over the rankings with you right now. Duke is ranked number 4, by the way. Tennessee, Auburn, Iowa State, Duke, and Kentucky are your top 5. Marquette, Alabama, Gonza, Florida, and Kansas, your top 10. The remainder of the rankings go as followed: Purdue, Oregon, Oklahoma, Michigan, Houston, Clemson, Texas A&M, UConn, Ole Miss, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Cincinnati, San Diego State, UCLA, and Mississippi State. That is the top 25 right now in college basketball. And remember, the reason that UConn is so low, they have 3 losses on the year already. All 3 of them coming in Maui, by the way, to unranked teams. Oh, man, I don't know how that happens if you just won national championship. Back-to-back national championships, by the way. Another team in the area, the Tar Heels, North Carolina. Man, they've lost a couple of big ones. Number 4, Auburn, they lost to. Unranked Michigan State, they lost to. And number 10, Alabama. They had a nice 3-game losing streak there. Finally got back on track against Georgia Tech, though. Right now, North Carolina 1-0 in the conference, 5-4 overall. So a lot of college basketball yet to be played. Right now, Tennessee, the Tennessee Volunteers, the number 1 team in the country. They beat Gardner-Webb in game number 1. Gardner-Webb. Yeah. Big South, baby. Gotta love it. So that's your college basketball update. I'm really curious how many people, and I know there's hardcore fans out there, but how many people turn their attention to basketball, whether it's college or pro, before the new year? Because now we're really getting into the thick of NFL, playoff push. Soon we'll be in the playoffs. You got college football ending their season as well. Bowl games coming up, the playoffs coming up. So how many people during this time go and seek out basketball games? I'm not sure how many there are, but I'm sure like on a Tuesday night or something like that, you're like, yeah, let's throw a basketball game on. See, me, I'm more hockey. So if it's a Tuesday night and there's nothing on, I'll throw a hockey game on. That's just me, though. I'm a big hockey fan. So speaking of hockey, the Hurricanes, they're doing all right this year. They are doing just all right. I mean, we got to get our goaltenders back. That's definitely priority for the Hurricanes. But when you look at the standings in the NHL right now, Carolina is 3rd in the Metropolitan. That's a really good spot for them to be in. 35 points in 27 games. The Washington Capitals have been on a tear in the Metropolitan. 19 wins, 6 losses, 2 overtime losses. They have 40 points, and they lead the Metro. I didn't see that coming. I didn't. I thought they would take another step back this year. But hey, congratulations to the Washington Capitals. They are tied with the Wild and the Jets for the best team in hockey. Now remember, Winnipeg, they started the year like 15-1. They were on an absolute tear to start the year. Now they're 20-9. They have quite significantly slowed down to the point where they're not even in sole possession of first place in the Central. A little hockey update for you before we end the show today. And as we do every day here on the Scoreboard, we talk about some things that happened on this day in sports history. 2016, on this day, December 10th, Lamar Jackson won the Heisman Trophy. He was the youngest player ever to win the Heisman at the age of 19. Whew. How about that? Let's see, what else do we have here? I know we have a couple of good ones. I saw them earlier today, but I seem to have lost them. Let's go with something really old. 1810. We're going to end with this one. 1810. English bare knuckle boxing. Yeah. Tom Cribb beats Tom Molyneux in 33rd round. It was the first ever interracial boxing match. 1810. Thanks for tuning in today, everyone. Until tomorrow, have a good night.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville,